Is there a policy out there for people to get that can insure them today and help them tomorrow in an event they have a medical emergency?
Living benefits, it's really cool. It allows you to receive up to 90% of the face amount of your policy while you're still alive in the event if you have a critical, chronic, or terminal illness.
I want to talk to you about insurance and why it's so important. So, today on the conversation, I'm going to be talking to a true powerhouse in the insurance industry, Brianna Johnson. She's not just making moves, she's making history, y'all. A trailblazer from Chicago, Brianna started working at 14. She owned multiple salons and clothing stores by 22. And this girl working, okay? And, and when she hit 24, she decided to move in the financial world. Now she is the founder and owner of Lgnd Life Financial. See, I forgot a word there, y'all. Don't worry. She's changing lives through financial literacy, life insurance education, and she's making a real impact, serving over 5,000 families and companies. Brianna is leading with a purpose, passion, and with power. Oh, did I tell you she's a mentor? Yes, she has mentored hundreds, y'all, and she is a voice to the voiceless. So let me introduce you to this legend. Yes, I said it. She is a legend. Brianna Johnson, welcome to the conversation. All right, all right. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so excited that you are here. Like I said, it was a blessing. Again, I interviewed someone else. I asked them about insurance. Your name came up. I reached out and we just had a spirited conversation, just about insurance and about different things. So again, I'm gonna get into it. I'm ready. I got a fastball.
Okay,
All right.
let's do it. Hopefully, I can catch it.
All right. So I see TikToks, YouTube's Reels. Um, Everybody's talking about you got to get universal life, URL, whole life, term insurance. And I'm like, do you really understand when you talk to the layman person? What does that mean? So the first question I really want to ask you is there a policy out there for people to get that can insure them today and help them tomorrow in an event they have a medical emergency?
Yes.
Yeah, can you sort of kind of describe like what's the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a very common question, and I feel like it's a very important question to be able to understand, especially before purchasing a policy, because you want to make sure you have the right type of policy. I've been in the industry for 12 years, so I've seen so many instances where people are just buying any type of policy thinking that insurance is just insurance and it's going to pay out, right? So it was so funny when you just said, I see on TikTok URL. I'm like, URL? I think that's like what the internet is, IUL. But I love, that's what I'm here for, to educate. So you have, yes, you do have different type of policies. You have term, you have traditional whole life, you have IULs, you have universal life insurance. And when it comes to the newer type of
Mhm.
policies and riders that they've added to these life insurance policies, you're able to get living benefits. So living benefits, it's really cool. It allows you to receive up to 90% of the face amount of your policy while you're still alive in the event if you have a critical, chronic, or terminal illness. And
Okay.
I feel like that's a complete game changer, and everybody needs to make sure that they have this in their policy. If you don't have it, it's time to get a new policy, upgrade, upgrade that old policy and get with the new, because anything can happen at any given time. And with these specific riders, it allows you to, like I said, access the money while
Mhm.
you're still alive. You don't have to go into a bankrupt situation or, run through your checking or your savings. It just really alleviates the stress that comes with a diagnosis. And it gives you the opportunity to come out on the other end of the spectrum so that you don't let stress also be a killer or, hinder your health. So,
Now is age a
now,
factor? Is age a factor when you're getting these type of policies?
yes, it is. It is a factor when it comes to seeing if you qualify for living benefits. Some of the living benefits only, allow people up to the age of 60 or 55. So you have to make sure you try to get them while you still can
Mm.
and while you're still of age, because after a certain age, you become a higher risk to an insurance company. You got to think about it. Why would an insurance company offer living benefits to a person that's 70 or 80 years old when they're more prone to, potentially being diagnosed with a critical or chronic illness, right? And so with the insurance company knowing that they have to pay out up to 90% of the face amount of the policy, that could be a huge risk. So they definitely made sure that they put, an age restriction, typically between 18 and 60. Yep.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to pivot because I still want to talk about that, but I want to talk about the generational wealth in combination with that. So
Absolutely.
again, TikTok, YouTube, everybody's out there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, how do you have that policy
Mhm.
and then also create a new policy because everyone now is talking about, oh, you need an insurance policy for generational wealth?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand the power in, stacking your
Okay.
policies and have
Okay.
multiple policies for multiple purposes. You
Hmm.
don't have to only have one and let that be your end all be all, right? So when it comes to building generational wealth, there's a couple of different ways that you can go about this. I highly suggest those who are between the ages of 25 and 55, married, working, homeowners, and have children, you need to definitely have a term policy that'll last you for about 30 years. It's the cheapest form of insurance and it'll allow you to get a lot of coverage to protect everything that you're building and that your family depends upon right now. So for me, for example, I got my first term policy when I was 24 years old, $1 million, paying $35 a month. And you
Oh,
might say,
wow.
okay, why is that beneficial? Well, if you're married and you have a wife or a husband that stays at home, of course they depend on your income. So that you don't want to settle for a small whole life $50,000 policy just because your grandparents or your mother had it.
Hmm.
Because that won't serve any justice to you and your family. That'll actually do an injustice for them, because if you're bringing in $100,000, $200,000 per year and you leave them behind a $50,000 policy, they won't be able to get very far, especially if you have a mortgage. Let's say you have a 30-year mortgage. You want to be able to pay that mortgage off. Your kids, depending on your income, how far will they be able to get with just a $50,000 life insurance policy? If you have debt, you want to be able to make sure that debt is paid off. And like we just talked about, policies with living benefits, in the event of a critical, chronic, or terminal illness, you could receive up to 90%
Wow.
of the term policy, especially if it's up to 2 million. So you definitely want to have that in place, but then also you can stack it with a whole life policy so that when your term policy is up after the 30 years and your kids are grown, you paid off your mortgage, you pay down your debt, you probably won't need that million or $2 million policy. Now you can decrease your term to reflect your current living
Uh-huh.
situations, or you can get rid of your policy because now you might be self-insured. You might have invested into some businesses. Now you might have 2 million cash liquid. Now you just need an estate plan, a will, or a trust to assign, all of your assets. So what you have in a whole life policy, you don't have to worry about the premium ever changing,
Hmm.
and it builds cash value. Now, when it comes to actually building wealth, a lot of
Hmm.
people do use IULs, index universal life insurance
Okay.
policies. They like to utilize those for a wealth building strategy because it's tied to different indexes. We have the S&P 500, Barclays, like a series of different indexes that your IUL can participate in. So what you're essentially doing is, if you have it structured properly, you are taking the life insurance portion and you're getting the smallest amount of life insurance that you can legally get, right, within using these policies. And then you're putting the remainder of, let's say if you're spending $500 per month, let's say $100 per month goes towards the life insurance part of the policies. So what's happening is when the market goes up, you participate in the gains, but then when the market goes down, you don't really lose anything. And it's something called the floor. So it's typically 0%, or you still get a small gain of 0.25%. But then it doesn't have full participation like a Roth IRA or a 401k. So if the market does 30% in 1 year, your cap might be what, 12%, 15%.
Yeah.
But then if the market goes down 20 to 40%, you're not taking any losses. So the money in the policy is compounding, right?
Hmm.
Depending on how the market does. And then you're able to pull from the cash value of the policy. Let's say you have 50,000 in your cash value and
Okay.
you want
Okay.
to take some money out to purchase a home. You can pull out up to typically 90% in most cases. So let's say you take out half, 25,000. What happens is when you borrow from these policies, you take out 25,000 from cash value, that's 50,000. But the insurance company will recognize that, all right, they're going to pay this 25,000 back. So we're just going to keep compounding them at the 50,000 as if the
Mm,
50,000 is still there, opposed to them only compounding at the 25,000
25.
because you withdraw 25,000. So that's the power of borrowing instead of completely withdrawing, because when you're withdrawing, you're letting them know I'm taking my money and I'm not coming back. So now you got all the penalties, the fees, the income tax, etc. So nobody really ever withdraws. They only borrow from these policies. So that is a form of building wealth. Now, since the policy will have a lower death amount, that's why it's so important to have another policy like a
Hmm.
term policy that has a bigger death amount, because you're not worried about, okay, well, when I borrow or take from this, or if I pass away, my family is only going to get the small death benefit, because you already have another policy that has a larger death benefit. So it's like hedging and,
Okay.
making sure that all aspects are covered.
So my question is that when you work with someone, do you, as they're going down this, I call it the insurance journey, because because again, you talk to what I call the millennials,
Yeah.
the different age brackets, but as you get older, to my age, I'm 50 something, so when you get to us, do you find it more challenging to talk to people who are older about why they need insurance as they're getting older, or do they get it? They're like, "Oh, I need a plan today."
Yeah. Unfortunately, they get it, but sometimes they get it a little too late
Mm,
because first of all, now you're older. The
yes.
cost of insurance increases every single year that you get older. So, if you don't have a policy locked in at the age of 24, 30, or when you're younger, it's just going to be more expensive. But then, as you may know, in your 50s, as you get older, you see the importance of
Yes.
insurance. Some of your friends, family members might be dying left and right, and you like, oh my gosh, like, is this the time where people start to transition? Like, let me make sure I get my, affairs in order.
Yes.
So now when you come to speak to me, you do see the sense of urgency, but now you're like, well, how come the cost of insurance? I just referred you to my daughter and my son, and their policy is only $30, $40. And you're telling me that for the same amount that they're getting, I got to pay 100, almost $200.
$200. Exactly.
The cost of waiting is so expensive because you didn't really understand it. A lot of people think that nothing will ever happen to them, or they can just put life insurance on the back burner. But every single year that you wait, it's costing you. So you guys definitely understand. You see the sense of urgency, but
Yes.
it's just like, I wish you would have
I
seen it earlier,
I know.
but
I
it's better now than ever, especially if you're in a situation where you're healthy to qualify,
Mhm.
because a lot of people don't even understand that. Like, you can qualify for today, but then tomorrow it might be an entirely different story
Exactly.
because of diagnosis or a car accident or whatever the case may be, the price for today won't be the price for tomorrow, or it just won't be even an option. So, um, I just love what I do because I can bring more awareness and try to language it in a way to where it's non-intimidating and it makes you want to say, hey, you know what? Let me go ahead and get properly covered. Let me go ahead. I call life insurance a love letter, a letter of love for your family. Let me go ahead and write this for my family and get it over with,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these business owners. This is a
Yeah.
pet peeve of mine. So
Okay.
I do business consulting,
All right. Love
and
that.
the challenge of getting business owners, especially small business owners,
Yeah.
um, you own a barber shop. Let's say you're
Mhm.
just a barber. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just go to the basic. You are a
Yeah.
barber. You are a nail technician.
Yeah.
You do hair. Why is it
Yeah.
so important for that solopreneur to have some form of insurance?
Well, it's very important, first of all, because you are a solopreneur. You're not working in a corporate space where they're offering you, these benefits, where they're offering you health insurance, life insurance, retirement. This is totally your responsibility. So, but that's the cost and the price that we have to pay as small business owners. So, you just want to make sure that you get these ducks in a row because anything can happen at any given time. And if you were to fall in a situation where you were diagnosed with something from a critical, chronic, or terminal illness perspective, and you don't have short term disability, you don't have a life insurance policy that has living benefits, or if you don't have, a huge savings or a retirement that you can actually pull from, then you're going to put yourself in a situation where, as though you're going to put yourself out of business, but then you're also going to do a disservice not just to yourself but then us as a community, us within the world, because I feel like we all are born with gifts that God wants us to, share. But if something were to happen and you don't have the proper protection or the proper insurance to help you through, life's lessons or whatever curveball life wants to give you, then you might die with your dreams, and that would just be a disservice to all of us. So you just want to make sure you're properly prepared, because no one knows what tomorrow will bring, but you can definitely be prepared for what tomorrow will bring.
So, do you offer when you say insurance? Do you offer just business covering, just business insurance, as well as medical, health, life? I mean,
Yeah,
what type
great.
of policies do you, does it, is it an all encompassing policy for the business? Like, oh, I cut your hair. Oops, I made a mistake. And, and you sue me. Or, I put a perm in. Oh, I left it in too long. Your hair fall out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, so that's not the type of insurance that I cover. I don't cover that type of stuff. But there might be somebody out there that, covers that, because I think some people get like their vocal cords insured, their hands. There are special type of policies for, artists and things of that nature. But what I offer is more so key man insurance.
Okay.
So
Yep.
um, if you have a business and you have a business partner, and that business part, you guys are going in on this project together, both of you guys are splitting the expenses, the costs, and if something were to
Mhm.
happen to either one of you, you want to make sure you get, insurance on both parties so that you can continue to do what you need to do and everything doesn't fall on you. That is what I offer.
Okay.
And then also accidental. I do not have my health license, but I am going to be working on getting that so that I can offer, that short term disability. So I'm just more so focused on the solopreneur, small business owners when it comes to having life insurance with living benefits, annuities, and just proper education
Okay.
around that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Tell us about your training, the
Yeah.
training that you do. Do you,
Mhm.
I want to be a broker. Do I call you up, or I want to be an independent insurer? I mean, what type of training do you offer?
Yeah, I definitely offer training. I've trained hundreds of agents to know, basically just get into the industry. So I teach people who don't know, anything about the industry to those who are already in the industry and have years of experience, but unfortunately they didn't have, the best training elsewhere, or they want to switch things around, or they're picking a different market or niche because they were doing final expense insurance before, but now they want to kind of learn more about term with living benefits or IUL. So I train on all of that. I teach people how to um, go out in the field and sell within families' homes, because that's where I started. I literally
Okay.
started going to people's homes, sitting across at the kitchen table with them, but then I transitioned to doing everything via telesales. So
Okay.
I have experience in both. It just really depends on what a person wants to do, but I can honestly say that I can train any and everybody to help them get from where they are to where they want to be, utilizing this industry.
Oh, wow. So, do you have, because I know you work with a lot of people, but
Mhm.
can you give someone a story or an instance of how having life insurance or insurance um, impacted their lives? Like
Yeah.
like they were, something happened, they got insurance, and they didn't realize, or they realized that, oh wow, I have
Mhm.
this thing that's going on. Can I use my insurance policy to actually help me out? I mean, do you? I mean,
Yeah.
because I know you meet people all the time, but do you
Yeah.
have something that you can share with people so people really understand that why this is so important to have
Oh, for
insurance?
sure. Absolutely. I guess I can start with myself.
Okay.
I'm one of my own success stories, but then I have several others because, like I mentioned, I've been in the industry for over a decade now. But like I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, when we were talking, I purchased my first life insurance policy when I was 24 because I don't believe in talking about or offering anything that I don't personally have. So I got $1 million policy, $35 a month with the living benefits. I got that policy initially for my family, my brother, my mom, my sister, and my dad being the beneficiary. Because I'm like, you know what? I know I want to be an entrepreneur. I know I'm going to be a millionaire one day, but just in case anything were to happen on my pathway, I still want to afford you guys the lifestyle that I'm trying to give and give you guys opportunities that I didn't necessarily have. So then 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was able to receive, a nice, handsome amount of money from my life insurance policy, which
Wow.
gave me options. It gave me options to get the care that I wanted and not
Hmm.
necessarily was forced upon me. So I took that option and I went to Mexico, paid out of pocket. It was costly, but it didn't matter because my life insurance policy stepped in and said, "Hey, Bree, you know what? You could take a seat and relax. You don't have to worry about your business. You don't have to
Wow.
worry about your bills. You can keep your savings. Just really take the time so that you can heal." So fast forward, I did that, and then I did come back over to the States and get some care here. 2 years in now, I'm completely
Oh wow,
healed,
that's great.
cancer free, and I've been able to, use that money also to invest into other things. So I am my success story. I'm my biggest advocate when it comes to, having these policies with living benefits, especially for those who think they're so young, I don't need life insurance, or I don't have kids, I'm not married. Why
Mhm.
would I get so much coverage? I was you. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I got this life insurance policy as an act of love, right? To protect my family, but I didn't ever think I would have to use it, but I did. And I'm glad that I was properly protected.
Wow.
Um, I would say another story, I have a couple, but another story, I had one guy, one of my favorite clients to this day. He was with me probably for about 7 years. And I got him initially a $500,000 policy. He made his sister the beneficiary, her children, because they were living with him, and also his daughter. And I call my clients every 3 months, 6 months, or a year to kind of check in because your life insurance needs can change. And at that time, COVID had came around, so things had changed within the insurance industry, which allowed me to give my clients more coverage and pay a little less. So I told him, I said, you know what, we can get you $1 million worth of coverage, but we're not going to cancel this $500,000 policy. We're just going to take it off auto pay just to see if we can get you approved for the million. And then once you are approved, we'll go ahead and get rid of the $500,000 policy. So then he got approved for the million, still had the $500,000 policy. After a couple of weeks after he was approved for the million, he passed away.
Oh no.
Since he still was in the grace period, well, before it entered into the grace period of that $500,000 policy, that $500,000 was immediately paid out to his sister and her children.
Oh
And then
wow.
also received an additional million because we had put
But
that in and he
oh
was
wow.
approved. So, I feel like and with her coming into my office and she could not believe what her brother did. She was literally, I'll never forget the day, crying her eyes out like he did not have to do this. And I'm like, well, he did because he loved you. And that was just a huge another aha moment for me. Like, oh my goodness, what I'm doing is super, super impactful. My
Exactly.
voice is
Exactly.
really, really, making a difference in our community. I'm really helping my community buy and rent
Mhm.
wealth, and it's non-intimidating and they're making moves. So I'm just super appreciative for this gift and God bringing me into this industry, because I did not initially want to be in this industry because I thought nothing was sexy and or cool about financial services, but I knew I wanted to make a bigger difference in my community instead of just offering them fashion and giving them things
Yeah.
that they didn't necessarily
That's so
need, but
wonderful.
what they
Man.
want. Oh yeah.
So now you gotta tell people how to contact you. They need your email, voicemail, TikTok,
What yeah, all the
Snapchat.
things, right? Yes, yes. So you guys, you can contact me at Brianna Kayla J on all social media platforms. You can schedule a free call with me, even if you have a life insurance policy or you need one, don't know what type of policy you need, or if you want me to audit your current policy, I will be more than happy. The process is super, super simple. 5 to 10 minutes, we'll know if you're approved. It comes, most of my plans come with estate planning, so complimentary wills and trust. And, I just look forward to servicing more people and helping them buy wealth. We gotta start buying our wealth until we
Did you
actually are
did you
able
say
to.
wills and trust?
Yes,
Oh my
that is
goodness. See y'all. See, I gotta have it back now. See, because that's a whole nother. So that's a whole nother conversation
yes, it is. It
that that
is.
that I wanted to couple because we our people really don't understand why we need a trust,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we again you've heard it, mother passed away, said she left you the house,
Yeah.
but she it wasn't in a will and it wasn't in a trust.
That's
Now
right.
you're in probate because
Yes. Oh my gosh. Everything is drawn out, costly stuff.
everything
Like,
drawn
what is
out.
going?
Now
Mhm.
she may have, let's say she left with 5 years left to go on the mortgage. But since it
Mhm.
wasn't in the will and it wasn't a
Ah,
trust, you got to go
come
to
on.
probate. Even if you paid on that property, that's still not your property until you go through that whole litigation of trying to get it into your name, which is a whole nother thing. Hey, Brianna, I really appreciate this. Now, I just want you to know now, see, you might be one of one of them guests that I might have you just pop on and just, hey, we got to talk about this. But yes, but definitely, guys, we're going to have her back because I want to have that conversation about will and trust because we need to know this stuff because most people don't understand that. And again, if you need insurance, give her a call. If you need a trust, you need to give her a call. If you need a will, okay, you don't need nothing else. Just get the will.
Yeah. You know, but we might as well get the whole package.
There
Let's
you go.
let's
You
make
want to get the whole
it.
package. But again,
Yes, let's get a
thank you,
foundation.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't appreciate it. I'm telling you, I'm excited. I'm excited. Again, do anything, let me know. I will be there to support. Yeah, I'll ring the time. Again, Thanks for coming on the conversation. So our tagline is, without the conversation, we can't have the understanding.